Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Quizical's Guys 2 with me, Qwizical. And today we are looking at that old head scratcher, Endgames. Now, what is a endgame? An endgame is when you get to that point in a game of Scrabble where you've got your last 7 tiles on your rack, or maybe your last 6, but usually it's 7, and you've now got to start planning on usually how to win or how to maintain your lead, or how to not lose. So I've literally just played this game and I figured it would be a great example of an end game. So here we go. Both the ISC robot and I are down to our last 7 tiles. But what should you do here? First of all, you'd have to consider the scores. So the robot here, Fleisch, assuming that's how you pronounce it, Benji needs to correct me on that. You better correct me, Benji. So the robot is 25 points behind here, and it's got a pretty decent rack. It's really balanced compared to its opponent's rack, i.e. me. I only have 1 vowel on my rack. And this is clearly where tile tracking comes in very, very helpful. Because if you're Fleisch in this position, you know exactly what is on my rack and you can plan for it. So if you know what your opponent's best moves are, you can attempt to stop them or limit them or even plan to allow them to happen. And because of the accuracy that you can predict the endgame with, you should be able to win the majority of your endgames, so long as you plan them properly. So with Fleisch being 25 points behind, a 2-move playout is optimum here. If he can do a 1-move playout, you know, he's in great shape, but he can't. Mostly you will find the endgames are 2-move playouts. In the very rare scenario that you can have a 1-move playout, you do that. But mostly we all talk about 2-move playouts because they're what typically happens. So here Fleisch should really do a move like Squid, because Squid leaves row, and row goes out here with trowel, and that's very unlikely to be blocked. And if it is really blocked, it's like I'm not scoring, and Fleisch has an easy score of ow here anyway. So Squid is the play. Now usually what we say is when you make endgames, your final move of your 2-move playout needs to be playable in at least 2 places. Now this is so your opponent is unable to block. Now sometimes you may have an unblockable second move, and that's really great if you do, because then you could just have 1 place to put it. Or potentially you might find that switching around your 2-move playout is actually more beneficial. It always depends on the situation, it always depends on how you calculate it. But Fleisch doesn't play that, he plays Sow. Not sure why, because it actually doesn't give him a playout, and that's really bad. And we're going to see why Fleisch not doing a 2-move playout is really bad. So now we've got my rack. My rack is pretty bad. I mean, what can I do here? You know, where can I play? What kind of moves can I make that go out in 2 that score enough points? You know, an unblockable one maybe. But really here I'm now 14 points behind. But the best part is that Fleisch can't go out, so I can set up my 2-move outplay now. And that's really fortunate. So a play like Max here scores 27 points. And it leaves GTS. And GTS goes out in 2 places. It goes out here at L10 and it goes out here at L5. Now, you could say that that's, that's really good. But the thing is, it's quite possible that Fleisch may be able to outscore me. So maybe something like Div here scores 14. It's possible that Fleisch could have a play that I've also not seen, and sometimes you have to take that into account as well. It's really important to consider and have it in the back of your mind that potentially maybe you've missed a play that your opponent could make, and maybe plan for them scoring extra points somewhere, or maybe making a move you just haven't seen. You don't know what they're capable of, really. So what I actually do here is pretty neat. Maybe a bit risky, and it may not have worked out against a human opponent, in which case Max is way better. But a play like Gem here for 12, it sets up an S hook. Now, this is really, really easily blockable, and is probably not the best idea in the world, because Fleisch could really easily block with a play like Lud. And I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure I could really go out in two places that would have scored enough to come back. So for example, I've got Scats here if Lud got blocked. Now, sorry, if Gems got blocked. Now Scats, it scores 21 points, and of course Lud is reducing Fleisch's score because he's having to sacrifice all these points he got for Ide to make the play that blocks my optimum play. But the best thing is, when I played Gem, I set up a second place to go out with Tasks. Now, Tasks itself scores 37 points. That's plenty of points to come back. And if he was going to block, I had the option of Scats over here. Now, unfortunately, I didn't plan this endgame, so I actually really, really sucked at calculating whether I would win it or not. But this example really shows how Fleisch's bad move decision of playing Sao and leaving letters on his rack that didn't allow him to play out really meant that he lost the game, because I was able to then make sure that I could play out in 2. And my way of playing out is just a bit more obvious, like if you don't know the fair hook. What can I say? But I won the game on endgame. But in a tournament, sometimes all these spread points really matter. So you really have to calculate with such accuracy whether you're winning or losing by a certain amount of points, and whether you can maximize those points as well. Because one of the things that a lot of players will do with their end games is make sure that they maximize their spread points. So, summary time. Point number 1, what is the score situation? Are you behind? Are you leading? This is really important to determine what you plan to do for your end game. Do you have to watch out for your opponent potentially scoring a lot of points? Or do you have to try and make that comeback? Do you have to try and definitely guarantee that 2-move play out? Because the thing is, if you're ahead, maybe you don't need the 2-move play out to win. Maybe you just need to really block your opponent's best play. Sometimes your opponent's best play is a 30-point play, and the next best player scores like 15 points. So sacrificing points to block their best play may be the best thing to do. And that's point number 2 there as well. Point number 3, a 2-move play out. Or 1 if you're lucky. 2-move play out is what we in the Scrabble sphere use to say this is what we want your end games to be. This is what we aim to have all our end games be, which is at least a 2-move play out, or one if you actually are lucky enough to draw a bonus. But the 2-move play out is essentially because it's the second fewest number of turns necessary to play out quickest, basically. It's only 2 turns. So if you're trying to go out in 3 or 4 turns, your opponent is more likely to go out before you. And you have to really think about, do I want to maximise the score for the move, or do I want to go for the 2-move play out and then get all those points off of my opponent's rack afterwards? And if you don't know about that, then maybe I'll have to do a video on that. And the final point is, use lots and lots of time to calculate this end game. All the time that you have left at this point in the game, you can use. There are no moves after this. Time does not carry over to your next game. Make sure you use up all your time to make sure that you have the win, or that you're thinking about how to win, or that you're planning ahead and you're trying to use all these methods to ensure that you can win. Or, you know, even if you use up, say, 8 minutes of your time and you find out that you really can't win, you've spent all that time thinking about how you can win, thinking about how potentially you can win a game. And reinforcing these ideas of winning and endgame are really, really good, because when you reinforce them in your head, you're then able to repeat them, and then you're more likely to be successful the next time around. So thank you for watching this episode of Qwizical's Guides. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learnt something, and I hope you will join me next time.